Good morning, everyone. Glad to be back to New York. Okay, so in the past almost 2 months, Venerable Guo Guang and me and Venerable Chang-Hwa, 3 of us went to India, Suravasti, to observe Vasa, International Bhikkhunis Varsa. This is where we are at Jetavana. As you know, that this place is where Buddha preached Diamond Sutra, Amitabha Sutra, and also Śurangama Sutra. Many important sutras are preached by the Buddha here. So this is a very important place, and Buddha spent probably the longest time here teaching. And also this place is very meaningful for bhikkhuni because Mahaprajitati Gautami, the Buddha's stepmother, she and the 500 female from the royal family that ask for the ordination here in the Sravasti. So this year we have 128 nuns came together from 9 countries and 22 monasteries together with different lineage and different practices. We came together and observe Vasa to practice Vinaya, Samadhi, and wisdom. Basically, the 3 learnings of the Buddha's teaching. And so this is the Drikong lineage, His Holiness Chetan, that he sponsored this whole event. And some of the participants, we were praying in the Jetavana. And so just a quick sharing about what we have done in the summer, that it was really very hot and humid in India. So that's why Buddha said that, okay, 3 months in the summer, the so-called the rain season, Buddha says that no go, arms around, no go. All the monastics stayed in the temple and just practice. And this is a very good chance for us to advance our practice. Okay. This is the closing ceremony. As you can see on your right, those are the nuns, the participants from different countries and different lineage. On your left are the special guests from Taiwan and other places. They just they participate this closing ceremony, and I believe this is when His Holiness Chetan is giving the remarks. And so overall, this Varsa also give me a lot of reflection and feedback about my practice and my understanding of the Dharma. And so in my continuous, the following talk, I will share some of them with you. Okay, let's get back to the Śurangama Sutra. We are in at chapter 3 right now, talking about the wondrous nature of the Tathagata. And as I would like to emphasize that the first chapter 1 to chapter 4 are the content of about the wondrous shamatha practice. And this is a very important samadhi power that we all the practitioners need to cultivate. So I would like to finish chapter 3 today. And just a recap, because we did not finish the content. So Ananda, when Buddha tried to reveal the true mind and tell Ananda what his understanding about the mind are all illusory, then Ananda get confused even more and ask the Buddha, if my illusory mind, my mind is illusory and we all have true mind in us. So, is that what about, my true mind and my illusory mind coexist? How does that work out, And also Ananda was very confused about Buddha say that, oh, okay, the true mind is not by causes and conditions and not and come into being by itself. And Ananda just feel very real, like, isn't that Buddha talk about causes and conditions all the time in his teaching? How we should let go because everything come by causes and conditions. Now, Buddha said that, sorry, it's not related to causes and conditions. So Ananda was very confused. And so in the previous part of this chapter, Buddha spent quite some bit to explain why the true nature does not exist by causes and conditions and does not exist by itself, and it's not combinable and it's not uncombinable. So if you can go back to the previous talk to so and I think the most important thing is how do the true mind and the deluded mind combine? Because obviously we are operating with our illusory mind, and at the same time we have true mind as well. How does that work? So in this chapter, the main teaching from Buddha is to help Ananda dissect the illusory mind. Exam, your illusory mind, keep dissecting, and then to help Ananda see that why it's illusory, why you think is real is actually not real. And then so that the true mind can reveal. That's the main topic of this chapter. And so last time we talked about the main illusory view is also our focus, our emphasis for all the practice is to remove the so-called distorted awareness based on individual karma and the distorted awareness based on shared karma. Because these two awareness, distorted awareness, controlled all our existence, control all our views to our existence. So these two are the main practice for us to transcend. At the same time, last time, in Buddha's teaching, we often heard about 5 aggregates. We heard about 6 faculties, 12 sites, or 12 places, and 18 realms, and also the 7 great elements. All this terminology or all these teachings are often frequently mentioned by the Buddha, try to explain, how we exist, what is our body, what is our environment, and what is our mind, that are operating in this world. So right now in Śurangama Sutra, Buddha used these teachings as a focus to explain to Ananda that all this are illusory, at the same time also the true nature of the Tathagata. Okay. So last time we talked about 6 faculties, right? We have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And last time we explained that why all this are what we understand, ordinary people understand the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, minds are not real. And why they are all the true suchness. And for high practitioners, they can use the 6 organs, 6 faculties to practice and directly achieve the so-called purification of the 6 faculties. And you can see your true nature. At the same time, the 6 faculties are interchangeable. Okay, they are not limited by certain faculty to do certain function. And the problem is it's not easy. So Buddha add the 6 objects, and they become 12 sites. And also to expand the teaching on the form that, you know, what we perceive, what the cognition of our minds are illusory. And at the same time, if we can see that those are illusory, then we see our true mind. Okay. The problem is we cannot see those illusory phenomena as illusory. That's our problem. Okay. And this talk, today's talk will continue. Okay, Buddha adds another 6 on it, because if we can practice direct contemplation, use our 6 faculties with the 6 objects, and practice direct contemplation. And some people can directly see those objects we perceive are illusory and see the true suchness directly. But then because we cannot do it, a lot of people cannot get to even this part. Why? Because we are so intertwined and trapped by our 6 consciousness. So right now, the mind part is only limited to the cognition, the cognitive mind, cognitive object here. At this point, the sixth organ, the so-called mind is actually related more about our cognition parts, for example, brain and neural process, that kind of mind. And so the object is the mental objects or cognitive objects here. Okay, now Buddha continued to explain why the 18th realms are fundamentally the Tathagata Garbhad and the wondrous nature of true suchness. I choose these figures, you know, the ocean waves. Here is, we often hear the analogy that our mind is just like the ocean, flat and unmoved. The problem is, if we do see our true mind, the flat, unmoved ocean can reflect the object as is. The problem is our mind is not flat and unmoved. We have a lot of emotion. We have a lot of distorted view. And so our mind has a lot of waves. And our mind becomes disturbed. And on top of that, we grasp the wave as our true mind. So that's the main problem right now. Buddha continued to elaborate even more, like, oh, see, our eye contact with the visual object, and then we generate eye consciousness, so that when I see this cup, I know it's a white cup, okay? And our ear hear the sound, and the ear consciousness will tell you, okay, you are hearing something. Somebody's talking right now, okay? And the nose, we feel, the lunch smells so good. When the nose contact the odors, and then our nose consciousness can help us, tell us that, okay, this is curry, this is spicy food, or this is potato, or this is eggplant, something. In the tongue, when we taste something, our tongue consciousness will tell you, okay, now this is sweet, this is salty, something like that. In our body, tangible objects. So, okay, this is smooth, so this is rough. All that our body consciousness will tell you, right now what you are the touching is, how does it feel like? And again, the mind, the cognitive mind, when it contact with cognitive objects, for example, you think about, okay, your mother passed away already, but then today is her birthday, and you're thinking about her. So your mind, grabs the past memories, and you keep thinking about her, how wonderful she was, and to you, and probably you go further, your childhood with your mother, and all that is your cognitive, your memory. You're interacting with your memory, and your mother does not exist anymore, but you still interact with the mind, still interact with your memory with your mother. And so your mind consciousness will, tell you, how good your mother's was to you, and how good her cooking, her food, and all that. So all this, the sixth consciousness that Buddha continued to elaborate is more focused on the mind right now. For the six faculties and six objects, it's more on the form. Right now, more on the mind. Why is that? Because we are so distracted by our mind, by our conscious mind. And so that we cannot calm down, our mind cannot stay still to observe that the object and the awareness are illusory. Okay, we are dragging by our mind, conscious mind, all the time. So right now we have to do to get more understanding about our mind, and to get more samadhi power to train our conscious mind so that it can stay still. So that's why these first 4 chapters is talking about, the shamatha practice, how to still the mind, how to stay calm, and so that we can see what is illusory and what is real. Right now, okay, so there are 6. Buddha explained one by one on the 6 consciousness, and they are pretty much the same pattern. So today I will use the I consciousness as the example to explain the logic and how Buddha helped us to examine and analyze that I consciousness that we think is real is not real, and how to see the real behind it. Okay, so in the sutra, Buddha said to Ananda, saying that according to your understanding of it, the eye faculty and the visual object are the conditions for the coming into being of the eye consciousness. Because Ananda keeps thinking everything come to exist because of causes and conditions. This causes and condition come together, so things arise. Now Buddha's trying to tell you, okay, your understanding is like this, right? But does this consciousness come into being from the eyes, such that it is restricted by the boundaries of the eye faculties? That means does the eye consciousness belongs to the eye faculty, the realm of eye faculty, or does it come into being from visual objects? So such that is restricted by the boundaries of the visual objects, right? Because condition, causes and condition, A plus B, that's why we have C, right? And C, so the C, what is the quality of C? That's, you see here. Buddha continue. Therefore, you should know that the eye faculty, because you see, eye is a sensual organs. It has the sensibility, awareness to see something, right? That's the eye faculty. And at the same time, the visual object, like the cup, it is material. It has no feeling. It has no ability to see, right? So it's your eyes and the object are has totally different qualities. Now, when my eye contact with the cup, and I have eye consciousness to tell you, oh, this is the white cup. This eye consciousness, where does it come from? And does it belong to eye that has awareness, or does it belong to the object for the eyes to perceive? And then Buddha explained, saying that, okay, that the eye faculty and visual object cannot be the conditions for the coming into being of the eye consciousness. Because none of these three, the faculty, the object, and consciousness can exist independently. Okay, and also Buddha has already explained why the eye faculty and the visual object are illusory. They are not real. And now, how could it be that the illusory eyes contact with illusory object to make the eye consciousness real? Illusory plus illusory, the outcome is also illusory. So Buddha said that fundamentally they do not come into being from causes and conditions, nor do they come into being on their own. Okay. And here, you see the map. Buddha oftentimes use 18 realms to explain the existence of sentient beings. When we talk about we exist, that means we have a body, 6 faculties in our bodies. That means we live in an environment, 6 objects, the house, the car, the mountain, the road, and all that. These are the objects for us to perceive. That belongs to environment. It's insensible materials. And 6 faculties are sensual organs. Okay. Now, when the 6 faculties contact with 6 objects, we have 6 consciousness. We call it mind. Okay. So that's pretty much our understanding of our existence. We have a body, we live in an environment, and we have a mind that to process whatever our body encounter. And Buddha right now trying to point out that the so-called mind, the so-called 6 consciousness does not arise directly from the 6 faculties and 6 objects. It does not. Okay. Because all this, the so-called 6 consciousness, 6 faculties, and 6 objects are illusory, but behind it, they all belongs to true suchness. Okay, I know some people don't buy that. Okay, would I continue? Because Ananda don't understand either. Okay, like, all these are illusory. The mind, the understanding, I see you, and that's why I know you exist. And I know that I like you or I hate you, right? Why Buddha said that, okay, these are not real. Before we get to that, we need to talk about the practices. Because all this, we have to remember, Buddha mentioned all this is trying to help us to practice shamatha, the stillness of the mind. Okay. This is Chang Hwa Fashi lead a silent illumination retreat during the Vasa. And during the Vasa, Chang Hwa Fashi, we have two retreats in the Vasa. One is taught by, the sitting in the middle, there is a nun sitting there on the chair, Venerable Chang-Hwa, that she taught, she led Anapanasati retreat based on His Holiness teachings, that how to use the 16 breath as the practice, as the object to practice Anapanasati, and then so that we can see our true pure mind. And Gokwan Vasu, on the other hand, to teach silent illumination. And no matter it's you using the breath, there is a form of object to practice with. Okay, so that's called the enters with the phenomenal analysis. Or you practice silent illumination that is enter with the principle. Just like go directly to the true pure mind. So no matter what kind of approach here, I want to mention that the basis, all the fundamental practices are the shamatha and vipassana. We need to have a samadhi power. We also need to have a contemplation power in order to practice all the methods. Without these two fundamental power, it's very hard for all the practitioners to get into any kind of practice. Okay, so, and also I would like to recap in the previous chapters when Ananda asked about, okay, you said that we are all fundamentally pure. We all have a pure mind. We are all Buddha. Tathagata Garbha, all that, and why we are ordinary people, and we got so lost here. And Buddha in the chapter saying that, okay, because our mind is not illuminate. There is a moment that we are not luminous, and this unluminous state become a void. And in this unluminous voidness, the darkness aggregate into the form. Okay, here now. When we are ignorant, the first come into being is the voidness, the space. And then the second come into existence is the form. And when the form combined with deluded thinking, it leads to the appearance of the body. Then now the body come into exist. And then thereafter, the second part. So the on your top, in the PPT, first Buddha talk about the existence of the physical object. And the second part, thereafter, the causes start accumulating to disturb within, and the grasping get wild to chase without. So for the appearance of such an unilluminous trembling condition, you take it as your nature, the nature of your mind. So now the mental objects exist. So we are so busy working with our mental objects. So it's really hard for us to calm our mind so that we can really see or examine or analyze the so-called physical object, the form. And we cannot let go the attachment to the form, the existence of the form. And so we cannot let go the mental activity that can come after the attachment to the form. For example, we think money is real, right? Of course, money is real. I can buy food, I can buy a house, I can buy the car. And since we think that the money is real and I own this money, so when the stock market down, oh, you worry so much, right? When the stock market go climb, you're so happy. And you on top of that, you generate a lot of dream after that gain and lost. So our mind just keep busy, work, with those mental objects. And so when at this time I tell you, okay, money is not real. You never own the money. You won't believe it. You don't buy it. So that's what Buddha trying to talk about. Why Buddha add from 6 object, 6 faculty, and add more to 6 object, and now add 6 consciousness, because we are deluded more and more and far away from our true mind. Now, for practice, we have to reverse. Okay, here, but either you use 5 aggregates or use the 18 realms as the model to understand the form and the mind of our existence. We have to reverse it. We have to overcome our mental activity with the 6 consciousness, and so that we can move forward to see the form is not real. Most of our mental activity come from the attachment to the form. Okay, no matter it's your loved ones, or loved ones still, other people still the object, right? Or to the money, to your career, to your belongings. All the attachment to the environment are related to the objects. Okay, so this is just a basic model for you. Either you use the 5 skandhas on your right hand side, or you use the 18 realms on your left hand side. And of course, 18 realms is more complicated. I just used the Yogacara theory to explain the iceberg. Okay, on top of the ocean is the object form parts, and below the sea level is the mind part. Now, if you remember that Buddha explained, we have to even let go. See, we are the perceiver. We have a subjective ability that can perceive the object, right? And so when we perceive the object out in the environment, we will attach it. We will think that we see the real things. But here, Buddha said that when you see something, it's actually the reflection in your 6 consciousness. It's the 3rd moon. It's not even the 2nd moon. It's the 3rd moon. And the perceiver, the awareness that you see is actually the 2nd moon. And when we realize, where is the 1st moon? The 1st moon is when we realize that the 2nd moon is not real. This awareness is the true awareness that you can see the real moon, the 1st moon. Okay, that we talk about that in the previous chapter, that when you see the 1st moon, the moon does not exist anymore. Okay, so based on the here, the object part, we perceive the object, the image, the reflections in the 6 consciousness is actually is the the focus is on the sixth consciousness. And the perceiver part is actually, the focus is more on the seventh consciousness. And the true nature of visual awareness is on the eighth consciousness. So in other words, in order to, so here it's the scope, is the map of our practice. Most of the time, we are dealing with the reactions in our sixth consciousness. And if we can practice and practice more, eventually our seventh consciousness will get pure. Again and then again, we know that it's not real, it's illusory. You try to let go of the illusory, and our seventh consciousness, the attachment, will get lessened. And then eventually we will, when the subjectivity part and objectivity part equally let go, then we will see that the true nature, our true awareness. At this point, our eighth consciousness got transformed into the pure wisdom. Okay, this is a big talk. I just summarized with a couple of sentences. Okay, and maybe we can go use the 12 links of dependent origination to explain how we practice, how we can practice from the 18 realms to the 12 sides to the 6 faculties, and eventually, get rid of the ignorance here. So as you might get very familiar about the 12 links of dependent origination, how should I explain this? When we talk about 18 realms, okay, actually we are talking about the first to 6th consciousness. Here starts from our sensation, our feelings. Okay, so maybe I should operate. So when we try to liberate from the 12 links of dependent origination, we reverse the process. For ordinary people, we go from based on our ignorance, and our consciousness grabs the name and form, and then we have a 6th entrance, the 6 faculties, and the 6th faculty will contact with the environment, and then we generate feelings. Based on our feelings, we generate craving. And based on the craving, we try to grasp what we want and get rid of what we don't like. And then when we commit these actions of grasping, then we have the karma. And this karma further enrich our ignorance. And we have our further life and death. That's our normal operation of the 12 links of dependent origination. Now we need to reverse it. When we try to reverse this link, here we can start with practice with the 6th consciousness, the first to 6th consciousness. So from feeling, the sensation part, to craving, to grasping, when we contact with object here, and we have a sensation, that belongs to the 1st to 5th consciousness. You like it or you don't like it, or you don't feel anything about it. But, like I am in India. I was in India, so hot. So it's very hot, I know. But based on the sensation of very hot, if I generate, I don't like it, I want to run away, then that's craving. If I take action, I just book a ticket and fly back to New York, that's grasping. And I have a karma that I didn't finish my vasa, right? So, but I choose like, I know it's very hot, humid, hot, raining all the time. I know this feeling, but then I don't like it. But it's not a, craving kind of like hate. I know I don't feel good. I did not feel good, but I still stayed there, right? And so my sixth consciousness does not take actions. My first to fifth consciousness clearly tell me that, how my body felt. But my sixth consciousness decided, okay, I'm going to stay. I'm going to finish this vasa. Okay, so that's the practice. For example, in our daily life, when you encounter something, I don't feel good. When I see my bank account, when my spouse and my children fight with me, say something bad to me, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I accept that. But my sixth consciousness does not generate strong hatreds, like or dislike. And I don't generate idea that I want to eat my system or something. Then you stop, right? Stop at the feeling parts. You don't further go to craving and grasping. That's the first practice we all need to do, observe, clearly know about our sensation when we encounter any object. This person make me, my shoulders up, my circulation fast. This kind of feeling we have to be aware. Clearly know that, okay, my body has reactions. My sensation has reactions. But then stop right there. Don't add second thought from your sixth consciousness. Right? And then observe your body sensation. And calm it down. Relax. Calm it down. Relax. And it's gone. And don't add second thought, like, okay, so that's the practice with the sixth consciousness. And when we can handle this very well, every time, you don't get the strong emotion after that, then now we can practice the 12th sight, direct contemplation. Okay, I see you. I see you. I don't give you a name. I don't give you any labels. I don't give you any judgment. I just see you. People I like, people I don't like, I just practice like this object. Then we have a chance to see what the encounter of the sixth faculty with the sixth object is not real. And if we can do that, very good at it, then we don't disturb by the object outside. We don't disturb by grasp or attach to any object outside. Then we can practice the six faculties, from your eyes, from your ears, that you see what's behind it, why you can see, why you can hear. From that to see your self-nature. Okay, so all this practice that we will talk about that in the second part when we practice the Vipassana part, how to contemplate that. So Buddha invited 25 bodhisattvas to share how they practice the 25 method that to get enlightenment. Okay, we'll get to that. So here, from the 6 faculties, 12 sides, and 18 realms, and combined with the 12 link of dependent origination, you can see that, what is the main practice of each categories. And also, when you get to 6 faculties practice, actually, we need to, our samadhi power need to get very strong, very deep, in order to see, why our consciousness grabs the name and form, and how our craving support the consciousness grabs name and form. And if we can get to this part, actually we are dealing with our 7th consciousness. it's the seven consciousness we cannot see, but we can use the practice with the sixth consciousness to directly lower down the attachment of the seventh consciousness. Okay. Now, isn't that clear to you? Kind of understand, but we don't truly understand. We knowledge-wise understand, because that's what happened to Ananda as well. Ananda said, okay, oh well, it makes sense. But Ananda continued asking, but still, Buddha, you always mention, the combination of the causes and conditions. And then you always talk about the four elements, the four great elements, everything, our body, our physical environment, are the combination of the four elements, right? So the four elements are the causes and conditions for us to exist. And now you say all those are not caused, our existence does not caused, but does not be from the causes and conditions. And Ananda just keep asking. And Buddha said to Ananda, that's also Buddha said to us as well. Ananda, you are very learned. You are well learned. You remember everything I said. Just like, but you are just like someone, you can memorize, the medicine book. You can tell people that this is medicine 1, medicine 2, medicine 3, 4, 5, 6. You can memorize the whole books of the medicines and introduce to people. But when the real medicine it showed up in front of you, you don't know. That's the real medicine. Just like, oh, I know 5 aggregates. I know 12 link of dependent originations. I know 4 noble truths. I know a lot of, things Buddha taught. But when we have a little emotion, then we don't know. We don't know the medicine to even take care of our little emotion. We don't know what's the medicine actually. We forgot, and we actually don't know. If we don't practice it, all this are knowledge. They are not medicine. So Buddha keep telling Ananda in this Śurangama Sutra, you know a lot. I know you know a lot. You can memorize everything, but you don't have samadhi power. You don't have the power from the practice. That's why you cannot even overcome, the love craving things. Now, Buddha used this chance to explain what the seven elements, not just 4 elements, okay? We know the 4 elements is the air, the water, the fire, the earth, right? We hear a lot. Our body is our right retribution. The environment is our dependent retribution, right? We come to this world, we automatically, naturally have the body and the environment. And all this are composition of the 4 elements. For example, the cup belongs to the earth element. The water in it, the tea, belongs to the water elements, right? And the heater or the air conditioning, the wind make me cool down or maybe heat up, right? And what else? The fire or the heater is from the fire. So, and the mountain belongs to, the earth, the river belongs to the water, right? And we all know that, our environment is the combination of the 4 elements, right? And also our body, like the teeth, the bones, from the earth, right, element. My blood, my tears is from the water element, and all that. This is our knowledge, right? The body and the environment are the combination by the four elements. And what now? Buddha says, sorry, no. Our body and our environment does not come from the causes and condition of the four elements. Why is that? Okay, the earth element. Buddha explained, it may take as large a form as a continent and as small a form as a mote of dust. In its most subtle aspect, the earth element appears as particles that are so fine that they can hardly be distinguished from space itself. If these microparticles were divided further into 7 parts, they would then be as small as perceived object can be. Okay, if they were divided yet further, nothing would be left but space. Okay, it's so amazing that Buddha has this knowledge. I think Buddha has this knowledge based from his practice that he observed this. From our current science. Okay, here is how the science explain the material world. Okay, so we have a matter here on your left, and then we can dissect it into molecules, and then further down to atoms. And the atoms can further down to nuclei and electrons. Okay, this is talking about science here. And the nucleus has proton and a neutron. And the proton further can divide it into quarks. And the quarks can further divide it into strings, an energy wave. Okay, so now the particle and energies become interchangeable. But this is the science. Okay. From Buddhism point of view, the smallest divisible particle is called the paramanu. And some people say that probably it's at the atoms level. But from science, probably it goes to quartz level. No matter what, it goes to very, very subtle, indivisible parts already. So Buddha says that, now, if we divided the material things, keep cutting it, keep dissecting it, and eventually it get to the paramanu, the indivisible particle parts. And if you further divided it, becomes space. It's nothing exists, space, like energy. And now Buddha asked, the space, empty space, it's impossible for empty space to bring anything into being. For example, like, okay, empty space, I do something and a cup show up. It's impossible, right? But if we dissect these cups, cutting it, to carbon, to silicones, whatever, keep cutting it to the string level, the quartz level. And I say, okay, this cup disappear into space. The problem is on the other hand, okay, you cut. How many paramana that needed for the space to bring a cup into being? It's impossible to answer. So from this kind of analysis, it happens all the way from the earth elements to to all other 4 elements, or all the way to the 7th element. And so I only explain the form element, the earth element here. So Buddha continues say, okay, in the Tathagata Garbha, the nature of form appearance, the cup, is the same as the true nature of emptiness. If you dissect it, eventually you will see the nature of emptiness. It's not like empty, it's nature of emptiness. The nature of emptiness is the true appearance of form, the earth element, which is fundamentally pure and extends throughout the Dharma realms. Okay. Again, the question is, okay, Buddha always mentions they are fundamentally pure and pervasive throughout the Dharma realms. But the reality is, for our perception, is not. Why is that? Here is the key point. The extent to which beings are aware of that real nature depends on the capacity of their understanding. The earth elements appears to them in accord with their karma. In other words, as a human, we see this cup as a cup, a material. Is because our limited capacity of understanding of form, our limited capacity of understanding of form, and also because of our karma. That's why the form manifests as this, but this is the mountain for an ant. Okay? And for fish, they cannot survive in the air, and we cannot survive in the water. It's our karma. Okay? So ordinary beings, out of their ignorance, mistakenly suppose that the earth elements come into being from causes and conditions, or that it comes into being on its own. These are distinctions and constructs made by the conscious mind. They are mere words devoid of meaning. Okay, this is very important. The so-called 4 elements are actually from our ignorance, from our karma, from our conscious mind. Those 4 elements are not the true appearance of the 4 elements are not what we are perceiving now. Their true nature is the nature of emptiness. So for Buddha or for enlightened one, when they perceive the object, they only see their Buddha nature. They see the object as their true nature, but we see the object as the illusory form, the illusory appearance of A, I don't like, B, I like, the money, the food, the car. Karma, conscious mind. The car is our concept. The car for human being is a car. For baby, they are not car. You ask baby what that is. If you don't teach them they are car, they're just an object, right? They don't know how to drive it. So that material is not car for the baby. Okay, so I use this. This is a very complicated model, okay, that from Yogacara school. And I'm not trying to explain here, but I just want to show you the mechanism why Buddha said that. Okay, here on your right bottom corner, this physical body and the world that we exist. Actually, how we perceive it are from the first 5 consciousness, to know that it's a cup, to not know it's white. Okay. But then the 6 consciousness support the discrimination of the first 5 consciousness to tell them that, yeah, this is a cup and this is white color, because you have a database in the 8th consciousness to support your judgment about that. Okay, so actually all this judgment about this is a white cup, this is a mountain, this is earth, this is a fire, this is a water, are from the database in our 8th consciousness. And how you can access this database depends on our karma through the attachment of the 7th consciousness. So if you are a fish, okay, your 7th consciousness attach you as a fish. So your 6th consciousness only can access the database as a fish. So you think that water is good, you can live in water. And when you as a fish live in the air, you died. On the opposite, we are a human. Our 7th consciousness attach ourselves as a human. And so our 6th consciousness only can access the database of a human database. And then so whatever we see, whatever we smell, whatever we hear are processed by these seeds in the 8th consciousness for us to tell that, oh, this is green, this is white, this is a mountain, and this is wall, this is a table. If you are a ghost, it's not a wall, just go through it, right? But for us, it's you cannot walk through the wall. It's hard. It's earth, belongs to earth, right? Element. We cannot go through the wall. But for ghost, well, it's not earth element. You can just go through it, right? So here, Buddha just trying to tell us what we think, the so-called 4th element that has different property, right? It comes from the process of our karma and conscious minds to make it the 4 elements as we perceive. Actually, it's not the true nature of the 4 elements. The true nature of the 4 elements are actually the nature of emptiness. But we cannot see that. We don't have direct experience on that. So we are still trapped by the water, by all the combination of the 4 elements that limit us, that restrict us. So we don't have our pervasive power. Okay, we are limited by our karma and by our conscious mind. Okay, now the same apply to the fire element. In the sutra, Buddha used, how in the ancient time, like modern time on top, we use the glass, we can generate fire, through the sunshine in the glass and a stick of the tinders, and we can make fire. In the ancient time, they do it the same way. And so Buddha said that, okay, what is the nature? The nature of the fire is no self-existence. And its existence is depend on conditions. Okay. For example, the fire, if you burn down your the wood, the tinder burned down, then the fire cannot exist anymore. So the same analysis go to apply to the fire element, that it's not, the fire element does not exist by the causes and conditions. And the same thing for the water elements. Okay, so the water, the nature of water is uncertainty, either flowing or staying still. So we all know that water is, you cannot fix the water and it always change. So in ancient times, they used a pearl to, under the full moon, they collect the water. So Buddha asked the same thing, does it come from moon or from the pearl or come from, space? Okay, you cannot find where the water come from. And then same thing for the wind, okay? So the nature of wind has no substance. You cannot collect winds, right? You cannot touch grasp wind because they have no real substance. It's always in dynamic, either moving or keep quiet. Okay, here. We very famous stories from the sixth patriarch Huineng, that here the argument between two monks about the flags. Is the flag moving or is the wind that is moving? Okay, and Huineng just say, okay, none of them. The flag is not moving. The wind is not moving. It's your mind that is moving. Okay, so at this point, Huineng has already know that the wind, the object, the wind is not moving. And Buddha's used the analogies is like, when you go quickly, your robe generate a wing, right? And it flies up and it touches the people next to you. And so Buddha say, okay, does the wind come from your robe or come from the space or that person's face? So Buddha used this, the same pattern of examination to show that actually wind is actually illusory as well. And the fifth element is about space. Actually, without space, nothing but exists, the voidness, right? Now, Buddha said that, okay, if you are digging the well, you pour out the soil, right? And then it has a cavity. The more soil you pour out, the larger the cavity will be. And so the cavity become a space. Now, where does the space come from? From the soil, or because you're digging, or on its own? Buddha tried to analyze this. It's the space actually is not from all these three. Okay. Now, the sixth element is about the awareness element. Okay, the previous 5 elements is more related to form, to the fourth element is more to the form world, to the environment, and the space is for us to exist. And now the 6th and 7th elements are more about mind. Okay. Now awareness, for example, seeing awareness or touching awareness, or how we can perceive, the ability to perceive. Where does it come from? Okay, Buddha said that you do not become visually aware unless space and visual objects are present, right? And for example, if it's bright in the daylight, in the day it's bright and you can see. And if it is in the dark, no light, and you see darkness. So you can discern light and darkness because of your visual awareness. And Buddha do this analysis in the previous chapter a lot about the visual. Does it come from the darkness or does it from the light, or both or none of them? You can check the previous chapters about this analysis. And also Buddha said that your awareness does not come from light and darkness. Okay, so there is something behind. And again, each element keep mentioning, okay? The four elements, the space, and also the awareness about the mind. Buddha said that it's come from our capacity of knowledge. If you are high practitioners, your knowledge transcend beyond to go beyond this mundane knowledge, then you have the so-called supernatural power. You transcend the knowledge about the four elements. Some people just can walk through the wall. Some people can use their mind to bend the spoon, all that. So all these elements, Buddha keep at the end of the paragraph, always keep mentioning that you have the seven elements manifest as what you think, what you as you know is because you have limited knowledge, and also because your karma, and because they are discriminated by our conscious mind. So these 3 points: limited knowledge can transcend by our practice, karma as well, and conscious minds as well. So these three key problems for us to perceive the seven elements as they are our focus of practice. Okay. Now, here, for example, like here, Buddha, you see the seven elements. If you go to the sutra, it has the same pattern. The Buddha first mentioned that the property, the quality of each element, and then ask Ananda, okay, you say it's caused by the causes, and it comes from the causes and conditions. And Buddha say, okay, what condition does this, and everyone are vetoed by the Buddha through the analysis. And at the end, Buddha will always say that, right now is awareness. The real nature of your visual awareness is enlightened luminosity. And that the essence of enlightenment is your illuminated awareness. The awareness is your true nature. The true nature is your awareness. To the extent to which beings are aware of its real nature depends on the capacity of their understanding. Okay, the first one. And the second one is those awareness actually pervasive throughout the Dharma realm. But why is not? Okay, it's easy for us to understand the four elements is everywhere. But do you take it that your awareness is everywhere throughout the Dharma realms? At least you can see very limited distance. You can hear very limited distance, right? We are so limited with our six faculties. You cannot imagine that you can hear people talking, in California. It's impossible. But because of our karma, because our conscious mind, sorry, we just cannot do it. Okay. So last one today, hopefully I can save some time for Q&A. The conscious elements, this is very important. What is consciousness? If you Google the definition of consciousness, probably come out 50 of it. even science cannot precisely explain or define what the consciousness mind is. You know, you cannot say it's brain, okay? Because when you die, brain is not working. You still have your conscious mind. Otherwise, how can you get rebirth? Right? Your seventh and eighth consciousness are the key for you to rebirth. They carry all the information to your next life, right? So what is consciousness? You cannot define it with brain biology or neurobiology. You cannot define consciousness with psychology and all that, because none of them can explain how you get rebirth. What is conscious elements? Okay, Buddha say, the nature of consciousness has no source. You cannot find the origin consciousness. What is the first consciousness come into being? Don't know, right? It diluted appeared in response to the six faculties and their objects. Look around now, like see, oh, I know you are A, I know you are B, I know you are C. Why is that? Because, supposedly, when your eyes see things, see the objects, your eyes should be like a mirror. It just reflects like a camera, right? Click, and your image come to the camera. But the camera will not say, oh, this person looks ugly. This is beautiful. Camera just take the picture as is. Our eyes should be operate this way. But why we will have judgment or discrimination? Because the consciousness will identify who is who. Why I can tell you are a male, you are female, this is Kenny, this is Ating. Why is that? I have a conscious mind. I have consciousness. So now, does this distinction making consciousness arise from your eye faculty? Of course not, right? Because when you die, your eye faculty doesn't work anymore. But you still have consciousness. Does it arrive from perceived object? Does it arise from space? Or does it arise abruptly without a cause, just naturally exist? Okay. Or denied by Buddha. Again, this consciousness, it has a lot of seeds, okay? The first to eighth consciousness, the eighth consciousness is a storehouse that stores everything, all the information stored in the eighth consciousness, okay? You like banana or apple? You can test banana, taste apple. Okay, this is the flavor of apple. This is the flavor of banana. Usually we should taste it just, oh, this is the flavor. But why we can tell it's banana or apple? It's come from your memory that's stored in the eighth consciousness. But is the eighth eighth consciousness, is all the consciousness real, like a solid real thing? If it's a solid real things, nobody can get enlightened. All the diluted things, all the defiled seeds, all the mistakes, all the wrongdoings that we have committed in the past are in the consciousness. How can you get it clean? If it's a fixed things, how can you transform it? And on top of that, Buddha said that all these are created by your mind. It's because your karma, the true nature of the consciousness is the nature of emptiness, pure, clean, pervasive in all Dharma realms. We keep hearing about that, right? But we don't understand. We don't have direct experience. What should we do? Practice some shamatha first. Practice shamatha first to calm down, cool down all the adjective emotion, all the second thought, third thought. We have to overcome our emotion first. And we have to overcome adding more thoughts on top of the first thought, so that our mind can keep quiet and calm like a mirror. With the samadhi power, then we can really see, really observe, really contemplate the true reality of our Tathagata Gabra. Okay. Hey, we should go practice and get enlightenment, right? The problem is Ananda has more questions. Well, is it good or bad? Good for us. But Buddha just keep blaming, Ananda, you know too much, you didn't practice enough. Because, okay, the four elements are not, the seven elements, the form and the mind are not what it is that we are perceive, it's true nature of the Tathagata Garbara is pure, pervasive. And how come this Saha world exists? Do you have the same question? We are Buddha already. And why we are essential being right now? How this Saha world exists based on the knowledge that all the seven elements, all the forms and minds are originally pure and pervasive without limitation. And this is a very important topic because all the scientists want to know the answer too, the Big Bang things, there's a whole huge theories from scientists to build up from the Big Bang to what we have as sentient being, living beings right now, and the universe expand, all that things. The scientists try to get the answer too. And so does Ananda, based on Buddha's answer, does it make sense why we have defiled Saha worlds and defiled ordinary sentient beings here? And this is next talk is very important. How Buddhism explain, the origin of life, including the living being and the environment. It's a very interesting process that Buddha explained. Okay, so probably we have a couple of minutes. Q&A.
For your presentation. It's interesting to me that, as we all know, Buddha was born in a Hindu culture. And so much of the emphasis on this sutra strikes me as Hindu, in that the world we see is illusory, that behind it lies the real self, the real realization. Yeah, so that strikes me as Hindu in a way. And now I'm thinking of, I practice in the Japanese Zen tradition. And from my understanding of Chen, it's similar in that there's a tremendous emphasis on non-duality, which seems to contradict this sutra's view of the real and the illusory.
You mean non-duality? It does not contradict to the real and the illusory.
It does. I mean, just when you posit the real and the illusory,
Oh,
you're caught in a duality.
okay. The first of all, Buddha talked about the middle way, Madhyamaka. We cannot attach to existence or non-existence. And I think probably my way to explain things is try to focus, try to dissect the illusory and to reveal. It seems like it's two, illusory and real, right? Real mind and illusory mind. But thank you for pointing out this. The Buddha said the real mind and illusory mind are the same mind.
So why then do we have to practice and generate samadhi power, see through the illusory to the real?
Yeah, but the problem is we have a self-attachment. We're all, a lot of the philosophy come from Hinduism, right? The main point that Buddha practiced all the Hinduism and other religions in India, he does not get satisfied. He think that it's not ultimate. I think the main discovery for him is that he found out the no self. Okay, so the no self concept is the key, is the main teaching for Buddhism. So, okay, for example, everything created by causes and conditions, everyone accept that. You do the wrong things, so you have a bad karma. That's causes and conditions and consequences, right? But when we talk about causes and conditions and consequence, that we have a concept of time and space and relativity. And why there is a relativity? Because there's a self-centeredness. You have a self-center. That's why you and me, you are my condition for me to speak here. If there's no audience, there's no speaker, right? But you and me. And so Buddha tried to shatter this self-centeredness, self-attachment, the concept, the sense of self. With the concept, the sense of self, that's why space and time exist. That's why there is a theory called causes and condition, causes and consequence. And there is for example, because everything comes and go, everything arise and perish. If that's the phenomena, then that means time and space and self-centeredness, the sense of self exist. Right now, Śurangama Sutra, Buddha tried to keep telling Ananda, what all you understanding is upside down. But actually, Buddha will explain later, when we talk about the 25 practices, that Buddha keep mentioned that illusory mind and the true mind are the same mind. The ocean, the waves still part of the ocean. The problem is our self, the sense of self, our self-centeredness grasp the shape, the appearance of the wave as the totality. That's the problem. And the wave just show up and disappear. And and we grasp that as the real. That's the upside down view. But the wave and the ocean are the same thing. Just the appearance can be different. So the appearance exists, but it does not exist. It's not a true reality of the appearance. So here, appearance, so the middle way is appearance exists, but it has no entity, no real entity. And so even though phenomena appear, it still follow the nature of emptiness.
Thank you. A quick follow-up, if I may.
Okay.
Okay, well, I mentioned that this sutra appears to be, to me, rather Hindu in orientation. And it's, okay, so and also the
Tathagata, yes.
The idea of Buddha nature in Tathagata is a kind of a pure, unchanging essence. Whereas, you know, for Zen, certainly, everything changes. So I don't understand how these two things, well, I do understand how they can be squared, is that one comes from a Hindu context, the other from a Chinese and Japanese context. And one more thing, please. The emphasis that you mentioned on, you know, practice and generating samadhi power reminds me of a Zen koan where the master sees a student polishing a mirror, and he begins to polish a brick. The student doesn't understand what he's doing, and the master said, "You can no more make a Buddha by polishing a mirror as you can by polishing a brick."
Well, I answer this question first. Okay, I mentioned that the samadhi power is the preparation. I think the koan that the master for the disciple that keeps sitting there is, he definitely has a samadhi power, but the problem is he attached to the samadhi state. So he cannot generate vipassana, the wisdom, the insight. So that's why the master give him a shot or something, he can get enlightened. But for me, if I sit there and the master give me that treatment, I won't get enlightenment because I don't have deep samadhi power to receive this teaching.
Thank you.
Yeah.